And good morning, everyone. We start with breaking news this morning. A shooting investigation involving the Adams County Sheriff's Office. It's closed eastbound lanes on I-70 near Air Park Road. Darius Johnson live at the scene. Darius, good morning.
Hey there, Gary. Good morning. I mean, this is such a chaotic situation as you start to piece things together. It definitely could have been a lot worse. Go ahead and take a look at some of this video that we've gathered for you this morning as I walk you through the very latest. Adams County deputies say around 12:30 they started pursuing a suspect that is known for criminal activity. They say that suspect then started driving recklessly and even heading in the wrong direction. It was deputies from Adams County, Arapahoe County, Aurora Police Department, and then CSP who all started chasing this suspect, and they tried to stop him as well. At some point, they stopped the pursuit because the suspect was driving so recklessly. The suspect then stopped, tried to stop another car. It's unclear if the suspect may have been trying to carjack someone at that point. Police say deputies then fired at that point in time. The suspect was taken to a local hospital in critical condition where he has gone through surgery and is expected to be okay. Back out here live, I want you to take a look at this scene just so you can see where it spans along Interstate 70 eastbound. Still a very active investigation as tow trucks just arrived not too long ago. And in the last 5 minutes, I just got more information from Adams County. They tell me at this point in time, it's still unclear if any police cruisers were damaged during this pursuit. We've been seeing them taking photos of them this morning. It's also unclear how many officers fired shots or how many were in pursuit. But as you heard me say, there were multiple agencies chasing this suspect who was well known for criminal activity this morning. Once again, this is the very latest at the scene right now. We're still working to get more information if anything comes out of it, but we are going to bring you everything that we know and continue to track the very latest for you this morning with these closures. Going to send it back to you in the studio, Gary.
Okay, Darius, thanks for the update. We appreciate it. Let's head over to Erica now and talk about the commute, especially out there.
Yeah, we've had so much going on, Gary, this morning. If you're just waking up with us, let's go ahead and get you up to speed. So as you just heard Darius talking about this police investigation that has eastbound I-70 shut down in Watkins at Air Park Road. So if you're traveling from Aurora into Watkins toward Bennett, if that's part of your normal morning route, this is something you need to be aware of. We're beginning to see a little bit of a backup approaching that stretch this morning, but all traffic being detoured off the interstate onto Highway 36 and then to Colfax. Then we've got a whole nother scene on the west side of town here at I-70 approaching the tunnel. You can see it's pretty much a parking lot, unfortunately, out here. This is closed because of snow. They're trying to work on snow removal. It's a safety closure right now on westbound I-70 between the tunnel and Loveland Pass. Then we've got a crash on the eastbound side of I-70, shutting things down between Silverthorne and Frisco. So a big mess there. Then we do still have that ramp closure this morning. There's a semi crash still being cleared at westbound I-70 on the ramp to southbound Wadsworth Boulevard this morning. If you're getting ready to drive into Commerce City, right on schedule, we're seeing that back up as well. Your westbound 76 commute in from E470 is up to 20 minutes.
Oh, it's been a busy morning. All right, Erica, thank you. Taking a live look out at Denver now. Our May snow is long gone, but it is a different story up in the mountains.
Matt Renew sent us this video from north of Silverthorne. It was about 3:30 this morning. He was actually on his way to Steamboat for his story, but snow was falling so hard. I mean, look at that. Man, it's just a mess out there. Anyway, he had to turn back. He is safe, and we're going to talk to him here in just a little bit.
Yeah, we'll hear from Matt soon. But yeah, it's good to see some of that moisture, even if it might be almost June. So yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it is certainly good for the mountains. They've got some snow up there, a lot of moisture going on. We've got some rain showers down here, but as the week goes on, everything begins to dry out once again. First, let's take a look outside. Do have some fog in some areas, some clouds overhead. 40 degrees is where we sit right now with 97% humidity. This storm system is rotating its way out of here, but as it does, you see it's going to throw showers over most of the eastern plains, snow at the higher elevations. It continues to move out. Little wobble on Wednesday gives us a few clouds, and then it moves out for good. And this time Thursday morning, we are border to border sunshine. So today, 56 degrees with showers and storms. Tomorrow, 70 degrees, fair and milder. 82 degrees on your Thursday. Here's the heat we were talking about, near 90 degrees by Friday.
And thank you. New this morning, ongoing staffing issues on RTD's A-Line commuter train to DIA. We've learned that earlier this month, RTD canceled 48 A-Line trips just in one weekend, leaving people waiting at the airport for hours. 9 News reporter John Glasgow has been looking into these cancellations. John, it sounds like RTD has been struggling for months.
Yeah, we found that the train fell short of its schedule more than 1,500 times since January. And one of the major reasons is because the A-Line requires 2 people on board. One of those crew members is an armed guard. The company providing that security tells me it's having a difficult time filling those positions. The A-Line requires a federally mandated crew member, which is different than how the light rail operates according to RTD. The second crew member is trained to help evacuate rail cars and help the engineer operate the train in an emergency. RTD has a contract with Allied Universal, which provides the second crew member, so they're technically not RTD employees.
If they call in and we can't fill that position, then we have to drop a trip.
Since January, more than 1,500 A-Line trips have been canceled. 1,290 of those trips, or about 80%, happened because a second crew member wasn't available to be on the train.
We understand that the line is very important to our customers.
Allied Universal told me in a statement the company is short-staffed. Filling position for armed guards is difficult because they compete with openings for law enforcement. RTD tells me they fined Allied Universal $153,000 last year for not supplying enough staff. Now RTD is getting creative to keep the A-Line schedule running.
Even though they're not the required company to put that position in, we try to fill that, or we try to shuffle people around so that we can maybe not drop 2 trips in a row. But there are times where we're just not able to do that, and so we have to cancel a trip.
RTD is also dealing with its own staffing shortages too. They're short bus drivers, train operators, and mechanics. RTD is offering a $4,000 signing bonus to frontline positions. They're also increasing pay as part of a newly negotiated contract with the union. The union president says something has to change at RTD to rebuild passenger confidence.
The biggest frustration is just not having a reliable means of transportation. The public is just weary of RTD and its struggles overall to address manpower issues.
So RTD has about 300 Allied Universal employees under contract, but only about 30 of them are armed guards who can be a second crew member on commuter trains. RTD says its contract with Allied Universal is up at the end of June and is currently looking at renewing their agreement.
This is such an impactful story, John. So many people take that train. I mean, we've talked about DIA being the 3rd busiest airport in the world, and I feel like poor transportation just transcends so many issues, like economical issues for our state, our city, a lot of accessibility issues. So if you have to take the A-Line, what does RTD recommend?
Well, RTD suggests anyone taking the A-Line sign up for alerts for any scheduled changes. On average, about 8% of the time, the A-Line train will not be there for people catching a ride to or from the airport.
Yeah, definitely a shame. All right, John, thank you.
Today, the State Board of Education will vote on next steps for the Adams 14 School District, including a new management partner and other possible changes. The proposal would take away the district's accreditation after years of poor ratings with the State Board of Education. At a meeting earlier this month, the board voted to reorganize the district, which could mean closing schools or letting nearby districts absorb them. Adams 14 also has to let a new management team come in after terminating its contract with the previous group. If the board approves the changes, new management will step in by July 1st.
The CDC is now upgrading 8 counties in Colorado to level medium. That means cases and hospitalizations are starting to rise. An average of 9.2% of COVID tests are coming back positive across the state. A month ago, we were just under 5.5%. And that's not counting all of the at-home tests either. 144 people in Colorado's hospitals have COVID right now. 85% of ICU beds were full last week.
I'm sick, but don't worry, it's not COVID. Have you caught yourself saying that over the last couple of years? I know I have. As we get back to normal life, or sort of normal life, colds and respiratory illnesses are making a comeback. But that doesn't mean we should just write them off. 9 News reporter Katie Eastman talked to doctors who say don't forget everything you learned when you kept COVID away.
Here I am, back in my makeshift home office. But I don't have COVID. It's likely some other kind of virus. That pesky cold we used to get all the time and infect our colleagues with. UC Health infectious disease Dr. Michelle Barron remembers those days.
Think back to the way we used to behave when people had colds.
And I'm guilty of this, of saying like, don't worry, it's not COVID. But I don't want to give it to anybody else either. Like no one else wants the other thing I have. You heard that saying?
Yes, absolutely. I think I get the exact same reaction. Oh, I don't have COVID. I'm like, yeah, and you got something nasty, don't come over to my house.
So maybe it's time to shift that mindset of knowingly getting other people sick, especially when the pandemic forced us to get familiar with how not to spread an airborne illness.
If you have a cold, symptoms, flu, whatever it is, even if it's not COVID, you can give it to other people. So maybe staying home is still a good idea, or masking if you have to go into work and preventing that spread to other people.
Eventually, Dr. Barron says when there's more baseline immunity for COVID-19, we'll look at respiratory illness season with COVID, colds, flu, and RSV all lumped together and fight them in the ways we know how.
It'll be just respiratory season like it's always been. It's just we now have more players with names that everybody is aware of.
Dr. Barron says they are not seeing seasonality with COVID-19 just yet anyway. She says testing and quarantining when you're sick are still the most effective ways.